Hello and welcome to the Acting Coach Network podcast. I'm your host, Savannah Madden, acting coach, award-winning theatre school owner and business coach for performing arts professionals, tutors and small business owners who want to grow their businesses with confidence, resilience and to step into their CEO mindset without burning out. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Jackie Stuart. Jackie is the founder of StageAbility, a drama school she started in 2008 that has grown from a small family-friendly venture into 4 thriving drama centres, 11 after-school clubs, 2 musical theatre classes and a Sunday youth theatre. Jackie's philosophy is simple but powerful. She believes that drama should first and foremost build confidence, self-esteem and a sense of belonging in every child. Over the last 17 years, she's created a space where young performers can explore, grow and shine whether or not they ever step onto stage. But what makes Jackie's story even more fascinating is the way that she has navigated the challenges of being a business owner in the performing arts world, from designing lesson plans for years to building a new online resource toolkit for other drama teachers. Her journey is a masterclass in creativity, resilience, and learning to work smarter, not harder. Jackie Stuart, welcome to the Acting Coach Network podcast.
Hello, Savannah. Lovely to be here. That sounds quite impressive, doesn't it? I'm actually quite normal.
It certainly does. Yeah, you've been in the game for a long time, haven't you?
Indeed, I think it's 17 years. Well, we'll be turning 18 in September next year. So, yeah.
How exciting. So let's start there, shall we? So can you take us back 17 years ago? What inspired you to start StageAbility and what were those early days like?
Well, I think I always wanted to start a stage school. That had always been the long-term plan well before 2008. And I think it was Fame. I don't know whether you're old enough to remember the TV series Fame. Were you?
Absolutely. It's one of my favourite shows.
My goodness, I was just so in love with it. And that from then on, I just decided that this is what I wanted to do. It was my dream job. And then, so in 2008, I had quite a big job. I was running a post-production studio for somebody. I'd just had my second baby. And then also in 2008, which you may remember, the financial crisis hit. And that affected quite a lot of our clients at the time quite badly. And so I was made redundant while I was on maternity leave, which was mortifying at the time. I felt like the rug had been pulled from underneath me. It was quite stressful. Well, it was very stressful at the time. But it was also a massive opportunity. I had some money, I had some time, and I thought, if I'm ever going to do it, it needs to be now, because trying to get a job, matching the salary that I was on, matching the flexibility I had, because I'd been working there for 13 years. I'd built up a lot of trust over that time. So I just thought, I'm never going to find another job like that, so I might as well create my own. That was the plan, but it was frightening and also empowering, because it then came back to me having to fend for myself. And rather than just getting that paycheck every month, I was having to create it. So yeah, it was hard, but now I look back and I'm really pleased it happened, which is very strange, isn't it?
It is, but I feel like we're still hearing these stories, and you're talking about back in 2008 when we had, the credit crunch or the financial crisis, as you put it much better than me. But we still are hearing, especially I think the circles that you and I mix in, we're still hearing that people are facing issues whilst being on maternity leave, or they've returned to work and they haven't got the support, or the roles changed, or lots of restructuring is happening in different workplaces. And you would think that maybe by now things had got a little bit better in that space. But anyway, that's a totally different conversation. But I just wanted to highlight that. And yeah, I'm so sorry that you experienced that. But I think you've already reframed it as it was such a positive, because this is where you've got to now.
My daughter said to me the other day, she'd been watching something on TikTok, and it was about parents asking your parents what their unlived dream was or is. And she said, what dream have you never achieved? And I said, well, I'm living it, to be honest, which was such an amazing realization that is all I ever wanted to do. And I am. So yeah, that was quite a realization for me. And nice for her to hear, I hope, as well.
Absolutely. I was just going to say how inspirational for her, because a lot of children, I mean, I've got a very young child, so I'm not quite in that arena yet, but I can imagine lots of young people are like, oh, my parents, And the fact that you could say, well, yeah, I've achieved my dreams, and that you're not sitting there talking about all the regrets or, anything like that. So I think that can be something that does happen.
Absolutely.
So your children were very young when you started your business. So how did you uh, balance? I don't know if that's the right word, or how did you navigate building your school whilst raising your children in those early years?
I think right from the beginning, I knew that I had to build a business that I didn't have to be in all the time, because I had a newborn and I had a 3-year-old, and my husband had a second job, so he wasn't around in the evenings either. So it was quite an ask, really, looking back. But I brought in teachers and assistants at the classes. We started with just 2 classes. So I had people running those, and then I'd go for a bit, or I'd go whenever I could. There were certain days of the week that were easier for me than others. But yeah, now looking back at that, and I'm having to put those teachers in right at the beginning, again, I'm quite grateful, because now I speak to owners of theatre schools that were in there teaching the classes and now want to get out to be able to run the business. And it's just so hard once you've got in there. I mean, I do have relationships with all the students, but it's not the same as the relationship with their class teacher. So I can only imagine what it must be like to be in that situation and have to withdraw. Whereas I've always been the one behind the scenes doing the marketing, doing the finances, doing all the, messages to parents, all of the admin, really. So I
Hmm.
think that's really how we got round it. I built it right from the start, not having to be there, that sounds really distant, but it didn't feel distant at the time, because, I was there as often as I could be. But yeah, good times.
It sounds very sensible to me because, as you say, it is really difficult. Yeah, it is really difficult. I was in that situation a few years ago where I was teaching all my classes and I hit a ceiling, and I was just trading time for money, and I just couldn't fit any more in. And I knew I wanted to start a family. And I was also getting to that point where I wanted bigger things for the business. So I knew I needed to come out of it to be able to work on the business, not in the business, as a lot of us are talking about, all of the time, with how you actually manage to grow your businesses, because I don't know how anyone would do it if they were teaching all the classes and doing all the behind the scenes work as well. They would be burnt out, funnily enough, I believe.
And it
So yeah,
happens
it's really
quite a lot.
interesting. It does. Way too much. But I don't know if I've spoken to many other theatre schools who have approached it the way you have, Jackie, which is where you brought your team in its infancy at the very beginning. So that's really interesting to hear. So I hope if there's anybody listening that hasn't started their theatre school yet, might think of how they could implement that method, because if you want growth and you want flexibility, that's a really good way to approach it, I would say. So your philosophy centres on building confidence and self-esteem. So how do your coaching team, how does your teaching team put that into practice in class, and how do you oversee that as well?
I think the important thing is that when we advertise that we're not performance focused. So, I mean, the way we do that in classes is by not doing big performances. So it's quite simple, really. And yeah, I think the children, there's different children, aren't there? And there are the ones who are very stagey and want to be performing all the time. And I know a lot of our local theatre schools will take that class and put them on stage at the end of term or the end of the year or whatever. With the children that we attract to our classes because of the words that we use and what our values are, a lot of those would run for the hills if we said we have a theatre show and you have to be in it. So the
Mhm.
classes are very much creative drama classes. It's about creating a safe space, a feeling of we're all part of a team. And I think when a new person comes in, that's very evident. So there's no backbiting, there's no nasty comments. If anything like that is ever heard, it's just shut down straight away. Not only by the teacher, but by the other children as well, which is really nice to see that they know what the culture is, which is fantastic. So it's a very encouraging space. We get a lot of children who might struggle with friendships at school, and they come and they observe and then they see what it's like and how safe it is. And then you start the journey of them trying things out, realizing, something doesn't quite work, everybody being supportive, trying something else. So it's all about creating that safe space and allowing them to make mistakes and for them to see that they're not a failure. That's a lot of what it's about really with drama, as I'm sure you know, about being able to make those mistakes.
Oh, absolutely. And just feeling that everyone's got your back in that situation, which it sounds like you've created that culture, as you mentioned, that it is really supportive and everyone's there to make friends, have friendships, and to support one another. It's really, really lovely to hear. So are you, Jackie, the one that is creating all the lesson plans? Do your teachers do them, or is it a collaboration? How does all of that work?
I always do the lesson plans. I enjoy doing them. It can be a very creative part of what we do. So yeah, I just love writing them. I love writing anyway, but it is collaborative to the point where I'll check in all the time during term time and like, how did that go? How did this go? Because some classes react quite differently to others. So that's always interesting as well. Some activities might fly with one teacher and not so much with another. So it's always interesting to get that feedback on what the kids are currently into, what's, really floating their boat. So we try different things all the time, but it can be stressful. And this is one of the reasons why I built the Drama Teachers Toolkit, which is the online resource, because I was doing some coaching with somebody and they were asking me to identify the stress points in my day. Well, not necessarily my day, but the term or whatever. And it was an immediate, it's doing the class plans, because much as I love them, I always underestimated how long they would take because I do get really into it.
Yes.
And I want to put lots of extensions and lots of variations and things, different age groups, and every time without fail. And I'm quite embarrassed to say this because I'm a real planner. I love organising. And this just tripped me up literally every single term. So I decided enough was enough. I was going to sort this out. And it's been a long road, but I basically took all of my class plans apart, put them into sections, organised it all. And now I can it's almost like a pick and mix. I can just dip into different areas and pull, if we're working on particular skills, I can go straight to that. If I'm looking for, different groups, if we've got a new group and I want a game that doesn't have a winner, we've got a whole section of games with no winners. So I can just go to that.
Oh,
There's
wonderful.
all sorts of things. So it's just made it so much easier, but it did take a long time.
I can imagine, but I'm hoping that you're reaping the rewards now. And of course, you are sharing these with other drama teachers as well, so they can take the fruits of your labour and not go through the same sorts of stresses that you have endured. So what's been the most challenging part of stepping into this new world of sharing your resources with other drama teachers and learning to sell them online?
I think, first of all, it was the worry that I've been teaching drama in quite a closed world, like only StageAbility. So I wondered how they would translate, for example, for people teaching in schools, and whether that was different. I mean, it is different in terms of the layout and their assessment points and all that kind of thing, but essentially what they need is the same kind of thing. So I built a Facebook group almost for accountability because I knew it would take a long time and I knew I had to stick with it. So in the Facebook group, it was just there for drama teachers to come into. And then I was like, hey, I'm doing this thing. Can you have a look at it for me and let me know what you think? So I had, I think, 4 or 5 beta testers to go in and have a look and let me know what they thought. And the feedback was great. And I was just so relieved because the whole point was to share it and to know that they loved it and they thought it was creative and inspiring and could see how it could fit into their classes. That was just, yeah, it was really reassuring for me. So that bit was good. The next bit, the actual building of it and selling it, little bit stressful. So I think I'm quite good at tech. Like tech these days, pretty easy, isn't it? You just press the buttons it tells you to. But it was just a whole different ball game, getting used to these softwares that build, and it was all new terminology like landing pages and funnels and these offers and payment systems, and just getting my head around all of
Automation.
that. Automations, that's another one. Triggers. Oh my goodness. But
Yes.
I
Yeah, I've
love a
got a few
challenge.
triggers as well.
So I love a challenge. So I'm like, I'm not going to let this beat me. I am an intelligent woman. So yeah, I
That
ploughed on.
is the mindset, Jackie. Yes, I am an intelligent woman. Say it a bit louder. Yeah,
uh,
wonderful.
so I persevered and I tested it and tested it and tested it until I was happy that it actually worked. So that was a long old slog, but worth it now because now it's all just running. So
Yeah.
it's all just great now.
I've just kind of come through the thick of the same sort of thing with creating my Lambda teacher training course. I think we're probably using the same program to host it. Yeah, it's brilliant, but it's a lot to get your head round if you have never used any of this stuff before. I think I only knew what like a lead magnet and a funnel was about 18 months ago. So well done for persevering and for getting it done, because yes, if anybody has launched any kind of course or is selling anything online, I'm sure you'll feel our pain. Even if you're a theatre school owner with a CRM, that also has its own amount of stress that comes with it. Anyway, so we have had excellent feedback from our beta testers. We have persevered with the tech to sell them online, and everyone is happy, and we can transfer them whether we have our own theatre school or whether we're teaching drama in a school. So they're a very versatile piece of kit to have in our toolkit, aren't they, Jackie?
Indeed. Yes. So the stuff that's up there at the moment is all the kind of generic activities. So the warm-ups, the games are all categorized into the different skill sets that you want to be developing in your students. Then I had a whole load of other stuff left over from my class plans, which was all the topics, all the genres. And I was like, I don't really know where that, I couldn't see where that fitted in part one. So the most recent project has been building part two. So it's not finished yet. I'm still working on that. So part two will be all the topics, genres, things like fairy tales, Shakespeare plays, can't think now off the top of my head. What else is in there? TV adverts, all the different sort of projects that we have in.
Gosh, that sounds like lots and lots of fun. Brilliant. So you have built this whole online drama toolkit, and you're also running a multi-site drama school. I imagine this comes with lots of constant decisions and wearing a few different hats. And we like to talk about that on this podcast, how we all seem to have lots of different roles within our main role of being in charge. So how do you make sure that you don't get overwhelmed and you keep your energy focused in the right places?
I'm quite lucky that I've got some help on the admin side now. And it's somebody that I actually brought with me from when I worked, when I was telling the story about 2008. I actually worked with her in 2008. She's one of my favourite people. And she's now working for me in StageAbility. So she looks after all our new starters, because that job in itself can take quite a lot of time with the trials, whether they turn up or not, uniforms, settling them in, feedback from the teacher, that whole, introductory time when somebody first starts. Yeah. So she looks after all that for me, and she's just brilliant with the kids. So that's great. But now the bit that's causing me, I don't want to say stress, but making me busy is the after school clubs, because we've got quite a lot of those now. And every term it's, the letters to the parents, logging them all in, making sure everyone's paid, all of the admin that goes on. So I think I'm going to have to bring someone in to help take that away, because when you get dragged into the day-to-day stuff, much as I love it, I don't mind doing it at all, it does stop you from thinking about the next thing and where you want to be going. And promoting the Drama Teachers Toolkit, it's just something that's quietly been happening in the background, but it's actually really good. So I want to shout out a bit more about it. So yeah, just to give myself a bit more time.
Absolutely. So maybe a focus for you for the new year is to bring, or even this month, is to bring somebody new into the fold to take the after school clubs off your hands, so you can focus more on the promotion of the drama toolkit, because it sounds absolutely incredible.
Thank
And
you.
I can imagine that it will just take away so much stress and maybe a little bit of just it takes away so much stress from other drama teachers. And also, everybody is always spinning lots of other things within their business. And if you're still teaching inside your business, you still want to be delivering the highest caliber of lessons. And we're all human. We're all sometimes not feeling the creativity spark. We go through ups and downs of feeling really on top of things, don't we? And feeling really creatively fulfilled, and then other times not feeling so good. So having a bank of tools that you can lean on and reach for when you really need them is so integral to keeping the flow of our lessons and keeping the high caliber of lessons to keep the children engaged.
I think we put a lot of that pressure on ourselves, don't we? Because we want our lessons to be the best and we really want the children to get the most out of it. And like you said, we're all human and sometimes that's hard and sometimes we just need a little bit of help.
Okay, we just shouldn't be doing everything on our own. And I think that there is a lot of that going on in the performing arts, but also in entrepreneurship as well. I think a lot of people just put, as you say, way too much pressure on themselves that they have to do everything themselves. And it's like, actually, no, how many more brains would make this idea so much better? One of my top pieces of advice is always to bring in people to help. I've learned very quickly that there are so many people out there that know how to do so many more things quite a lot better than me. So I lean on those people as much as I possibly can, for sure. But Jackie, what I'd love to ask you is if there are other drama teachers or performing arts teachers out there who also have a whole bank of amazing resources but don't know how to organise them or share them, have you got any advice for them?
I do. Well, I can tell you how I did it. I mean, I'm not an expert in resource creation necessarily, but I mean, mine was just a massive copy and paste job, to be honest. I one by one got all of my class plans up on the screen and then I had some idea of how they would be organised. So first of all, I pulled out from all of them, one by one, all of the general warm-ups. Then I'd kind of tag things or highlight them if it was something that was a observation game or used listening skills or you got them to use critical thinking. So I'd have like these little tags that I would put in. It took a long time, but then you can go through and search on your keywords and put them all together in a document. And then once they're all sorted out, then you can really see what you've got and have a look at how you could present that in a better way or how you could package different pieces together to present them. You know, we all know what drama teachers need, or I feel I do now. I didn't before, but have faith in yourself, people, because you do. Yeah, it's just putting the time in to do it. I don't think there's anything particularly clever about the way I did it, but you do have to make sure you invest the time. And then in terms of putting it out there and advertising, there's places like Twinkle. A lot of people get their class resources from their lesson plans. There's a site called Teachers Pay Teachers, neither of which I've gone down the route of, but I know they're out there and people do use them very successfully. I chose to host it on my own platform and advertise it on Facebook, but I don't know whether I might have chosen a slightly more complicated route than necessary. I think if people have perhaps got a smaller amount that they want to test the water and see what the interest is, there's probably easier ways to do it, like hosting the document on a Google Drive and then having some kind of payment link on Stripe. I'm sure there's quite simple ways to do it if you wanted to just dip your toe and see what happens before you launch into any of the big systems. It's perfectly doable. It's just the time. But you know, if you make it, go on Facebook and create a group, tell people that you're doing it, and then it holds you accountable and makes you do it so you don't look a fool. That's what I decided to do.
And you've grown your Facebook group into quite an impressive number. It's got about 1,900, 2,000 people in it. Is that right?
Yeah. I don't quite know how that's happened, but I don't know whether people are recommending it or whether Facebook is recommending it. But the drama teachers, we did a little survey recently of where in the world are you, and the number of different countries that people are from, it's really quite impressive. And it's just very nice to know we're all doing the same thing and creating the same benefits for children, and we're doing it all around the world. It's lovely.
Yeah, that is really nice. And in that Facebook group, do you go live and share tips, and do other people share things in there? What's kind of the vibe in the community group?
Yeah, I do go live sometimes. It depends kind of where we are in the cycle of things. So at the moment I'll quite like putting up polls to find out what people's thoughts are on certain things. I have run themes over the course of a month. So one month we had the importance of ensemble building in your classroom and how that can just lead to so much more success with their exam pieces and things like that if there's a real feeling of togetherness between the class. And then we did another one, I mentioned it earlier, about games with no winners. So a lot of people had commented struggling with managing, for want of a better word, tantrums when
Yeah.
people don't win.
Yeah.
Children are finding it harder
It's a
now, I
real
think.
thing, isn't it?
Yeah, to deal with that and get that emotional resilience and know how to deal with it when you feel sad that you're out. And that was fascinating because some
Yeah.
teachers were just so against ever having to say you're out. Whereas I'm more of the opinion that you can train your class and maybe start with the games with no winners and explain to them, have you noticed anything about these games? There have been no winners, and I'm not playing them because I need to know if you're ready or not, and then maybe play a test, talk about how you might feel, and then build it up. But, you can only really do that in a regular class. It's more difficult, with the one-off sessions. So I do think there's a place for games with no winners. So yeah, so we've done things
Oh,
like that.
that is so brilliant. It's just reminded me of when I used to be a dance party host
Oh,
quite a few years ago, Jackie. And I did learn the hard way in the first or second party I ever did. And I obviously played musical statues as one of the games and started, picking people off. And all of a sudden, everyone starts getting really upset because I'd only really done it in drama classes. I'd never done it at a party before. And I thought, oh, yeah, if you're here at a party, you are really just here to have fun. So I quickly switched it up and said, yeah, so if you're moving, you're then going to come and become a Strictly Come Dancing judge. So I had about 10 judges in the end, and we started making up names. And I just thought on my feet right there and then. And then I continued using that same layout for every single party I did, because usually they were all under 10 and it was nearly always a dance party. So they all knew what Strictly was. And it worked brilliantly because that was in a party setting. And I think that was quite important because they were there to eat cake and go wild and, have loads of fun. But I think that a drama class for building emotional resilience is such a great place for it to start, because as a parent as well, I would much prefer my son to start learning that in a safe community or a very inclusive environment, rather than finding out the hard way for the first time in a slightly more tricky environment or a tricky situation. So I think it's great that you start off or suggest starting off with no winners, and then you can introduce it once you start to get to know your students a little bit better. I think that's a brilliant tip to take away if people aren't already doing things like that. And what I also like is that you have let us know your process of how you've set this up, but you've also mentioned some really great ways that it could be done a lot quicker. For example, uploading it to Google Drive and then linking it with a payment link and things like that. It might not have all the sort of automation that goes with it, but there is still, ways that you can do it by saving you a little bit of time. But the next stage of this toolkit is launching in January. You've already told us a little bit about what's going to be in there. What else can we expect? Have you got any other little nuggets of information that you can tell us that we could find in this toolkit?
Well, if you go onto the website, which I think you're going to share the link to, the whole structure is laid out there. So you can see everything that's there. But there's essentially two parts. There's the part with all the generic warm-ups, activities, skills building stuff. And the skills building is things like improvisation, devising, mime, physical theatre, all that kind of thing. And then this new bit that's being bolted on, part 2, is all of the topics that we talked about. So that is, each one is split into 3 different age groups. And depending on the topic, they're different lengths. So some of them are like 3 weeks of 1-hour class plans, some of them are 5 weeks. So again, it's a bit of a pick and mix system. And we're going to be launching it on the 1st of January. And there will be a special offer to get both parts for a price for a week, I think, and then we're going to be selling them separately. So yeah, just get on there and take a look, and all of the information will be drip fed out as needed as we launch it in the new year.
And looking ahead, what's your vision for StageAbility over, the next sort of 5 to 10 years? Are there any new directions, projects or ambitions that you're excited about?
I do have a new project that is in my head at the moment. Well, it's in my head and I'm starting to do a bit of research at the moment, which came to me because I've already talked about my love of the drama classes and seeing the transformation in the shy children or the inhibited children. That's the best bit about it, without a doubt. And then we do our work in schools and we do our after school clubs, which are lovely. I'm hesitating to say this, but I feel a lot of the children who come might be coming for childcare as opposed to loving drama. Not all of them, because some of them join our shows and things like that. And also you get different children every term because there are so many other after school activities. So I never feel like we get the same level of transformation that we do in the drama school classes. So I've been talking to some schools about how we could get almost like a longer term program. Because again, we do go into schools for their special days like World Book Day, Anti-Bullying Week. But again, it's just visiting. It's popping in, working with the children for an hour and popping out again. So I've been working on a longer term program specifically for nurture groups, which are the children that really struggle in their normal classrooms, to work with them, get to know them, work out what their challenges are and bring drama into that environment and see what changes we can make to the children. So it's very early days, but this is almost like my dream, getting drama to the children that really need it.
Your second dream right there, Jackie. It sounds absolutely amazing. Or extended dream, maybe. Oh, that is so fantastic. That is going to be life-changing for so many students, so many parents, so many schools. So yes, and then you'll have to franchise it and put it everywhere, won't you?
Good idea. Hadn't even got that far. Thanks, Vanna.
No problem. So, Jackie, you have shared so much information with us. It has been incredible. I think loads of people can take a lot away from this episode. So where can we find out where we can connect with you? So your Facebook group, where can we follow you, and where can we get the Drama Toolkit from?
Okay, so the Facebook group is just the Drama Teachers Toolkit, and the website is www.thedramateacherstoolkit.co.uk. So very easy to find. And I'm in the group all the time. So if anybody wants to connect, then they just have to say hello in there. So it'd be nice to see some new faces.
Oh, fantastic. So I'll link all of that up in the show notes so that everybody can come and join your Facebook group and connect with you and head to the website to have a look. The Drama Toolkit Part 2 will be launching on the 1st of January, so in a few days' time. So thank you so much for being here, Jackie. It's been absolutely brilliant chatting to you.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Acting Coach Network podcast. If you loved what you heard, make sure you're following. And if you've got a moment, I'd love you to leave a quick review or share the episode with someone else in the industry who might just need it. You can find me over on Instagram at the Acting Coach Network. And if you prefer watching conversations, all of the video episodes are available on my YouTube channel. Just search the Acting Coach Network and hit subscribe to join us there too. If you're looking for support to grow your coaching business or creative career with confidence, resilience, and without burning out, I'm offering 3-month one-to-one coaching programs where we can get to the bottom of what you most need help with in your business. You can also find my latest free resource in the show notes. I'll be back soon with more real conversations, expert insights, and tools to help you build a business you love. Until next time, keep going, stay kind to yourself, and I'll see you soon.